Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better. And today I'm very excited to have the founder, CEO, all the good companies' names of the Power Pitch Company, Mr. Adrian Moreno. Adrian, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks a lot for having me. Happy to be here, brother.
All right. So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. What is the Power Pitch Company? Who is you? Who are you?
Yeah, so I definitely won't go year by year, but I want to give you the context to actually give your audience what they like to give the right amount of context. So in 2014, I went through a high school heartbreak, and that high school heartbreak led me to gaining 100 pounds in 4 years. And so, not 100 pounds, 98. Anyways, so I gained 98 pounds in 4 years, and in September 19, 2017, I called my friend Gilbert over to come smoke with me. You know, I was just a stoner who didn't have a job or anything. So I was like, hey, man, come hang out. And so he comes, knocks on my door. I answer the door, but I'm shirtless. And Gilbert's my best friend. He sees me almost every day, but I guess he hasn't seen me without a shirt in a while. So when he saw me, he opened up the door. He looked at me up and down and was like, damn, Adrian, you got fat. And straight up. And the moment he said that, like, I got so angry, not at him, but at myself. Because I was like, Adrian, 4 years ago, you had a six-pack. And I was like, now you're 100 pounds heavier. Like, what the hell happened? And that basically led me to making a decision that day. About 10 minutes later, I just looked at Gilbert because, like, for the whole 10 minutes, I just kept thinking about what he said. And it was just eating at me. So I was like, yo, I'm about to lose all of this weight, man. Like, just watch. And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. But within the next 9 months, I dropped 91 pounds. I kept 7 of them because if I kept going lower, I feel like I'd disappear. But I dropped.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
And so I lost 91 pounds. And that's what started because at that point, I had. Can you see me?
I can see you. Yeah, you bugged out for a second. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear. Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. My internet looks great. Okay, so one day, like I said, I had that house with all the neighborhood kids would come. So when I started working out, all of my friends had no choice but to work out with me. And so I was in the garage, making up all these workouts. And then one day my friend says, Adrian, why don't you just get paid for this? Like you're basically training us. And that's when the idea hit that, oh my God, people get paid for this? I was like, okay. So I started a fitness business. But that fitness business, I did very successful within my first 18 months. I made a little bit under a little bit under $500,000. And at that point, I pivoted to being a hypnotist. Because as I was helping people lose weight, I realized the psychological part is a really important part. And so what I ended up seeing was that, if I can just understand how to change their brain, I can help them change everything. So I became a hypnotist, and then I started applying all the organic strategies to grow that business, the DMs, making the post, sending friend requests, all of that stuff, but nothing was working. And it just was not working at all. And then that's what led me to I ended up losing almost all my money, had to move back to my mom's house. It was a very shameful part of my experience because I was riddled with shame at that point in my life. And then that's in that state of desperation, what led to the company I run now, something really interesting happened. One of my clients who I hypnotized helped her change her life. She loved it so much that she was like, Adrian, can you come speak to my mastermind clients on a Zoom group call? I was like, sure, I can do that. So I go to the group call. Only 9 people show up when she said it was going to be 30 people. So I was like, but I showed up. I'm a speaker. I'm going to do what I do. So I did what I did. After that, 2 of them reached out to me to become clients. They were like, hey, that was crazy. Is there any way we can work with you? I was sitting there like, yo, I need clients. Like, yes, for sure. And so we get on calls, sales calls. I closed both of them within 20 minutes each, both $5,000 paid in full. And then the next day, so that's 10 grand that day. And then the next day, somebody said, hey, Adrian, I watched the recording of that call. Do you have room for clients? Again, I need them. Yes. And so I ended up signing him at 5K too. So in 2 days, I made 15,000 from a 30-minute talk. And that's when I was like, I had to zoom out. I was like, okay, let me reflect on what just happened, because there's something that I kind of stumbled on, and I got to dictate what just worked, because if I can find what works, I can duplicate it. And so I started to because I don't know if you know about hypnotherapists, but if you want to hire a hypnotherapist for 3 sessions, you're maybe like $300, $500. I'm demanding 5K, and these people paid it to me without batting an eye in full. And so I was like, wow, like what? And they showed up to their sessions. I was like, these people are awesome. That's when the epiphany hit me. High quality clients come from not marketing directly to them, rather by marketing to the organizations that have those clients and being endorsed by them. And so now this epiphany hits me, and I'm like, how do I get in front of more audiences? Like, how do I get in front of more audiences? So I started making a list of all of these masterminds I can go speak at. And then the thought hit me, Adrian, you work with entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur, including you that you know, listens to at least one podcast a day. Why don't you start getting booked on these podcasts? And so in 2022, I pitched 121 shows. I got booked on 52 of them. The better stat is I generated $250,000 from those guest interviews. And now I teach people how to do the same thing. So the Power Pitch Company is basically a company where I show people how to get booked on podcasts without a booking agent or a PR agent, because you don't need those in 2023. And so my thing is helping them help people, coaches, consultants, experts get booked. But that's kind of like the story behind how it got me to where I am. And it also shares who I am, right? And so that's my super long answer to your very short question. But I wanted to make sure you had the perfect context.
It is the perfect context. Now I'm a little worried about sharing my secret with you at the end of the episode, but I'm pretty sure it's going to help you if you haven't already learned. You learned it. If you did, well, you already know this secret, how powerful podcasting is.
Absolutely.
But why? Why did you want to teach people how to get on podcasting without all the middlemen?
First thing was because it saved my business. Like I'm like a genuine expert, like when I say I'm an expert at doing something, it's because I am, because I've done it. And there's so much genuine experts out there, and I'm keyword genuine. There's so much genuine experts out there who are best kept secrets. All right. And not only that, but entrepreneurship for me, I believe, is the number one way to shake off this disease that a lot of people have, which is human helplessness. They've somehow, some way trained their brain into believing that they are helpless amongst solving their situations, whether it's relationships, business, health. They've just kind of convinced themselves that they're helpless, and nobody's helpless, but we learn how to be helpless. It's a learned behavior. And I learned that being a hypnotist. And so I live my entire life to show people that they're not helpless, to break any helpless thought patterns. As a hypnotist, as a fitness coach, that's what I did. As a hypnotist, I broke, helpless thought patterns. Now doing what I'm doing, entrepreneurship is the number one way to break any helpless thought patterns that you have. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you got no damn choice but to figure it out. And when you figure it out, you prove to yourself, oh my God, I can do this. I can do something. All of a sudden, you're not helpless anymore. So like my big why behind why I'm wanting to help people do that is because I want to show them that they're not helpless. Like I want to break any helpless thought pattern that they have. But also I do believe that experts, coaches, consultants can literally change the world, and the genuine ones, right? And so they just need help being more visible. And a lot of them don't have the visibility of a big thought leader, of a celebrity. So why not become one in your space? And it's very possible to do it. And so again, it saved my business. It showed me that I wasn't helpless again at a point where I felt like I was helpless all over again. And it proved to me that I'm the guy who can do hard things and great things. I lost 91 pounds. I'm the guy who can save this business. I'm the guy that can do this. So it's kind of like, this allows me to remind people of what they are, who they are, and what they actually are capable of. Because because when you start getting booked on podcasts, it does something to your confidence, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah.
I love that. That is a genuine why, and I love it. It's similar to my why to help people understand how powerful podcasting is. It's a very aligned goals, and I love that because it does make you do become a thought leader when you're a podcaster like myself.
Especially consistently, right?
Oh, yes.
That's the big part, right? But guesting won't turn you into a thought leader unless you do it over and over again.
Yeah, like hitting those 52 podcasts or 150 podcast guesting. Yeah. I had one guest over 400 guests appearance.
Yeah, like right now, if I'm right, this is my 82nd, and that's in the last 14 months or 15 months now. So yeah. Hustling, baby.
Do you have a goal? Like, how many podcasts do you want to be on?
So I actually don't have a goal for that. I don't. This may go against a lot of people's like thought process around entrepreneurship, but I don't believe goal setting is the wise thing for entrepreneurs to do. Because number one, a lot of people set very unrealistic goals, and then number two is that's what you're focused on. For me, I set process goals, meaning the only goals I have in my life are what are the processes I need to follow day in and day out. Because if I follow these processes day in and day out, if I only focus on the inputs, if I only focus on, hey, how many pitches do you got to send? Hey, how many JVs do you got to lock in? Hey, how many this, how many that? If I only focus and set my goals as process goals, because think about it. If you're setting a goal, you're doing it from a limited perspective. You can only set goals from a limited perspective of what you believe to be true. But when you follow a process down to a T and you execute it insanely well, you end up hitting goals that you never, ever could have imagined, that you probably couldn't have imagined first off because your mind didn't think that far. And so I only set process goals. And so for me, my process was pitch 12 podcasts a week. Like, that's it. That's going to be my process. Pitch 12 podcasts a week. Do that religiously and watch what happens. It's going to be something bigger than you would have thought. Maybe it won't. But ever since I've been following this goal setting process for like the last 3 years, my income has skyrocketed compared to when I did, focus on the goals. Right. And so I don't really have a set number that I want to be on. It's just a matter of let me just keep putting in the reps and I'll end up where I end up. And I'll end up in a place that, because they say goals also give you direction. Process gives you direction. Goals, it's cool to look at, but if you don't have a clear process to get there, it just gives you confusion. And so I only focus on process.
Oh, that's an amazing tip to give people. I wasn't even asking for a tip, and we got a great tip. Damn. This is going to be another great episode. Man, I'm getting back-to-back episodes that are golden. So let's talk about another tip. You're the power pitcher. You know how to get onto podcasts. Obviously, you got onto this podcast, or I got you on my podcast. Yeah. However, we ended up together. But let's say you have someone who is just starting their journey in entrepreneurship, right? They do have this. There are an excellent guru quote, or they know they're saying they're an expert in their field, but they're only just starting their journey in entrepreneurship because they want to stop feeling helpless. They have this knowledge. How would you suggest they go about booking their first podcast?
So Brian Tracy says well, here we go. One time I got 40 high ticket clients in one day. And the way that I did this was my mentor, Michael Chu, was running an event, an in-person mastermind. And I knew for a fact that me as a speaker could blow it out of the water there. But I didn't have the credentials, right? I wasn't known. I wasn't this. I was just his client. That was like the only relationship we had, which is a good relationship to have, right? Like, I've given him a lot of my money. That's a good relationship to have. But I felt like I didn't have the credibility. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't. But I couldn't sit back knowing that his clients would miss out by not having me there. And so I just asked him. I sent him an email and asked him. I was like, hey, I think I can speak at your event on this, this, and this. You want to chat about it? And sure enough, he said yes. And I ended up making a shitload of money from that talk. And the reason why I say that is because the world belongs to those who ask for what they want. So in that case, how do you start getting on podcasts? Well, ask. Now, how do you ask? How do you ask in a way that actually gets you on a podcast? Because as a podcast host myself, I get maybe 40 pitches, 30 pitches a day, especially on the matching softwares I use. I get endless amounts of pitches. I say yes to maybe one person a week because majority of people are horrible at pitching people to get on a podcast. And so the way that you do this is you need to stand out. And so the way that you stand out is first and foremost, and this is another thing. If you're starting out, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm not going to go for the top 1% shows. Great. I wouldn't recommend going for the biggest shows right out of the gate. Go for smaller shows first. For me, my first big show came after I did 20 interviews, but I was able to say, hey, look, I've been on all these interviews. To them, that's like, oh, 20, this guy must have something to say. So it stacks up credibility when you have that, right? And so focus on smaller shows. But the way that you do that is there's no point in me being on this podcast and there's only single nurses listening to this podcast. It will do nothing for my business, nothing for my brand. And so I only go on podcasts that I'm confident have my ideal audience. And I'm confident this one has it, which is why I'm here. And so you want to make sure you find the right podcast. I don't care if it has 50 monthly listeners. And those are 50 dream clients and you get in front of them, the conversion, it can be much higher than a big podcast with 1 million listeners that are not your niche. And so your first step is know who you're serving. That should be one of the first things that you do outside of podcast guesting. But let's say, I'm assuming you at least know your niche. If you know your niche, it's easier to find them. Ask them. Send an email to them. Ask them what they like to listen to. Ask them what podcast they're listening to. Make a post on Facebook. Hey, guys, what are your favorite podcasts on blank, 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 blank? Talk to your clients. Ask them. You start to get to a list of podcasts that now your audience is listening to. And so that's one way to make a list. The second way to make a list is to think of all the influencers in your market. And so for me, my big market is wealth because there's health, wealth, and relationships. So there's 3 core markets. Whatever you do falls underneath one of these. Don't go for all of them either. Big mistake. Go for one. And so my thing is wealth. My course falls under wealth. All right. Now what's my sub-market under wealth? Marketing, because podcast guessing is a form of marketing. So who are the top influencers in marketing? You got Russell Brunson, Amy Porterfield, Frank Kern, Neil Patel. You got all these big names, right? And so now I make a spreadsheet full of all of these names. And then what you want to do is you want to look up on your podcast app that name. And then before you know it, you're going to get a list of all the shows that they've been on. And these are shows that, number one, they're interested in your niche. Number 2, they're interested in guests. And number 3, they're open to the kind of conversations that you like to have. And so that's how you can start making a list full of podcasts to start pitching, right? There's other ways to do it, but those I've seen give me the biggest bang for my buck. So it's not even a buck. It's just like for free. It's like you just doing the work. So I'm laying out the process, but now we got over, finding the right podcast, how to find those podcasts. Again, there's more ways, but those are 2 good ways to start. And now the pitch. So here's where the standout part comes. So when I first started pitching, there was this woman in my space. Everybody called her the podcast guessing queen. Everybody knew her. So I bought this course from her, $97, learned how to do it. And I was like, all right, cool. Took her process, their email pitch template, and I sent it out to 40 podcasts. I didn't even get a no. I didn't even get a response. It was 0, crickets. And so instead of sending another 40 pitches, I live off of efficiency. I'm an entrepreneur. So I was like, all right, I got to find a better route. There definitely has to be a better approach to this because and she was like, that's normal. Like you want to send at least 60 to start getting 5 or 10. I was like, God damn. I was like, that's not good at all. And so, or at least for me, I thought that wasn't good. But later I come to find that that's an industry average and a good industry, a higher average. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, so all right. But I still knew there was a better way to do it. So I broke down so when something's not working, stop, reflect on why it's not working, right? So what I did was I stopped, looked at the email. Instead of sending another one, I was like, okay, let's think on why this email is not working. The first thing is the email started with, hey, my name is blank and I do blank. There's one rule in marketing that you should live and die by. And that rule is nobody gives a damn about you. I know right now, none of you guys care about me. The reason why you're listening to this show is because you care about what this episode can do for you. And so you're always looking out for yourself, whether you know it or not. So do not start a pitch with, hello, my name is blank. Nobody cares. You have not earned the right to tell them about you. And so I saw that right out of the gate. I was like, podcast booking queen. I was like, what is this? I'm like, this is horrible. And then not the second reason it didn't work was it was 850 words. And so, Phil, that's me saying, hey, Phil, I know you get a lot of pitches. I know you run a business. I know you're busy, but here's a chore for you. Read this 50 word email. Dude, nobody's going to read that. And so I saw that. I was like, no wonder this thing is, I can't believe my marketing mind didn't catch it up front. I was like, all right, cool. Let's rework this thing. So there's two things I have in my benefit. Number one is I am a great marketer. Like I've become a really good marketer. And number two, I'm a hypnotist. So I understand what influences human behavior probably more than anybody that I know. And so I said, let me take the marketing stuff that I know. And also I'm a really good speaker. So let me take the speaker stuff that I know and the hypnosis stuff that I know. Let me start hypnotizing people in these videos without actually hypnotizing them. Let me start putting these hypnotic principles in these videos. And so I already kind of shared the next thing. But instead of sending an email text-based pitch, they're video pitches. And these video pitches, they use hypnotic storytelling principles that keep somebody engaged. And I don't do the pitch starting with, hey, here's about me. It's all about the person. Hey, Phil, came across your podcast here on blank, and I went ahead, listened to this episode. You go into why you like that show. And then, but you got to be genuine about it. Don't say I listened to your podcast if you didn't. Be genuine about it. I looked at your episode titles and I like them. That's another thing you can do, right? But just be genuine. People can feel bullshit. And then I introduce myself to a story. After I connect with them, I introduce myself to a story, and I use a lot of hypnotic principles for that. But the main key to that story is the story is behind why you do what you do. Before you tell them what you do and what you can do for them, take time telling them why you do what you do first, because this will get them bought in. And then when you're introducing who you are through a story, instead of, yeah, my name is blank and I do blank, blank, blank. When you say, hey, my name is Adrian, and to make a long story short, my life was deeply impacted the moment I saw my dad drop to his knees, scream at the top of his lungs, Nancy, please don't leave me. And please don't take my boy from me. You open that kind of pitch, you're like, hold on, what the hell are you saying?
Where's this going?
You want to know where that thing is going. And so that's just a hypnotic principle. Is stories will make anybody stop what they're doing and want to pay attention. And so I just knew that. So I started telling very powerful stories in these videos. And so I was like, all right, instead of sending 40 pitches, let me send 10, see what happens. I said 10 videos. And by the way, it's not one video that you send to all these people. This is one video per person. Mm-hmm. I'm saying your name. I'm saying your show. I'm saying I'm all about you. I sent it out to 10 people, and then I got booked on 8 from that 10. That's when I was like, yo, I think we got it. I think we figured it out. So I went on and I just started doing it over and over again, and I was getting all these yeses, and, it just ended up working. And so the key here is find where you're going, like find the actual right podcast, and then stand out from the crowd with a video. Like one of the pitches I don't really pitch anymore. I have somebody who does it on my behalf. One of the emails I got back was, I've been in podcasting since 2009. Talk about an OG. I've been in podcasting since 2009. I've never received a video pitch. That's the kind of stuff that happens when you put your pitches in videos instead of doing it through email. So take your email pitch, even if you don't use the storytelling stuff that I do, even if you don't use that, just get your pitch and put it in a video and read the pitch. But don't read it like you're going to come off like you're reading it, but understand it and do it in a video. I can't even put in, oh my God, the difference of getting the video. I teach this shit. I've sold this course to hundreds of people. I still haven't got a video pitch. I'm telling you, it is the most, well, a lot of them also aren't pitching me, because my podcast is very niche. Yeah. But the thing is still, I'm on Podmatch, right? I get maybe 20 pitches a day. I said yes to 2 people on Podmatch, and I can't even tell you how many pitches because they're so crappy. And so, trust me, a video alone will make you stand out. And so the email, but how do you get the video to them? You got to do it in an email, right? Mm-hmm. Or a software. But that email, keep it my emails are 50 words. They are extremely short. because it's easier to read. And my email is not designed to get them to say yes to me on being a show. My email is designed to sell the click. I'm like, just click this video. That's all. That's the only goal of my email. Once they click the video, game over. The video, that's where I sell them on saying yes to me. Does it work every time? No. I got a 50% conversion rate. Sometimes people never get around to the video. Sometimes people never open it. Sometimes people are just like, hey, I just don't think this is a great fit, but oh my God, I love this video, right? And so, but that's how you want to do it. You know, that's basically exactly how you want to do it. Now, we can get into how to make money from them, but that's definitely
I don't want to steal all your secrets. To be honest, I have yet to get a video pitch, but I know I can guarantee you, if I got a video pitch, the person's already on my podcast. I want you on my podcast because it's a genius
You're literally
way.
Hearing a podcast host saying this. So
yeah, it's like 100%. You send me
this.
a video pitch, I already know you took the time to say, hey, you're not using me just to boost your thing. You're like, here, this is what I can add to your podcast. Can I come on? And you've already told me how you sound, so I can say, okay, they sound great. They're eloquent. They know, because writing, you can sound eloquent thanks to Chat GPT. You know,
like
that's
a good point too. Because in the world of AI, now that we're in the era of AI, this level of human touch is insane.
Yeah,
and so people are like, well, damn, how much how much time does it take to send those videos? I'm like, look, you know what? You can go pitch 60 and get 3. I'm going to go pitch 10. I'm going to go pitch 12 and get 6. So I know. So it's like when you have a higher quality pitch, you spend less time pitching and you pitch less people. I pitch 12 a week. I have my VA only pitching 12 a week. And like routine, I'm getting 6 yeses a week. Right. And so, you know, you don't got to pitch a lot.
No, know who you need to pitch to, know how to pitch, and it's going to work for yourself. Jesus, this episode is paying dividends. I love it. This is why I do this show, so I can learn so much from amazing entrepreneurs.
That's why I do mine, so I get you, man.
We're coming to the end. I want to ask you your favorite memory. So could you give us your favorite memory from your entrepreneurial journey so far, quickly? Let's say in 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes to give me.
Best moment ever as an entrepreneur was honestly the response after I wrote the article on how I get booked on shows. Because what happened was I'm a writer. I blog a crap ton. And one of the blogs that I ended up writing was, how I get booked on 4+ podcasts a week without hiring a PR agent. And overnight, I think 2,800 people read it. And I got maybe 60 DMs and emails of people asking me to do a course. So that was when I experienced product market fit. It was one of those feelings of holy crap, you just stumbled on something. I've never got a response like that over anything I've ever done. So when I put that article out, and the amount of people who are asking for the next step was insane. And that's when I saw, I didn't build my course because I thought it'd be a good idea. I built my course because of the behavior of humans. Literally, their behavior was dude, do you have a course on this? Because this was a great article, but can I learn a little bit more about it?
Yeah, let's go deeper into it.
Yeah. So I ended up just, hey, I made a post. And when I made my course, I had maybe 50 something people buy it right out of the gate, because they already were into it, and so that was probably one of my favorite moments of being an entrepreneur, is just seeing that kind of response.
That is that just fuels you. That just throws the fire on you. You just want to go and do more. Yeah. Adrian, I'm going to ask you the spark question of the show, and I kind of looked at it a bit before, and I'm probably, this is not going to be an answer because I don't believe that anything is what this says, but what's holding you back from being the best version of yourself?
That's a good question, man. So to be very vulnerable, holding me back being the best version of myself, I would say my fear of conflict. I do have a fear of conflict. I'm not the biggest fan of something going wrong, or just having hard conversations is a struggle for me. It's definitely something. And as a hypnotist, it's weird. Hey, why don't you hypnotize yourself out of it? It's an interesting thing, I'm very confident when it comes to a lot of different things, but for some reason, when it comes to like having really hard conversations with people and like making really hard decisions, like I had a business partnership going way too long because I just couldn't make the decision of like, yo, we can't do this anymore. So that I would definitely say that is probably one of the things that if I completely broke through, I can see myself, doing way better things, because like the amount of money I would have made from making that decision when I knew I should have made it, would have been, I lost almost $500,000 through that partnership, So the fear of conflict, the fear of having candor decisions, it's something I'm not the best at yet. I've definitely gotten better at it. I've gotten better at like firing people when I need to. but the thing is that I would say that's mine, man. So, I don't have it all figured out. I'm 26. I got my fears and my anxieties, and one of them is conflict.
Oh, I love that vulnerability that you just shared. Adrian, I'm going to jump off screen here. Please let my audience know either how they can book a call with you so that they can learn how to do this powerful pitching to the next level, or how they can follow you so that they can get some of the more amazing advice from you. So the floor, sir, is yours.
Yeah. So the best place to really reach out to me is, the reality is you probably want to learn a little bit more about how this actually looks, like how to do it. So if you just go to thepowerpitch.co/PDF, I'll actually lay out the full framework for how I get booked on all of these podcasts and how I turn them into revenue. So that's one thing we didn't cover. So you want to learn how to actually turn the podcast interview into revenue, into high paying clients. Again, thepowerpitch.co/PDF. 100% for free. Just give me your email. It'll be in your inbox. And that'll be the best place to follow me, because in my emails, you'll see all my socials and stuff at the bottom. So if you want to follow me on social media, you can do all of that. But that's going to be the only place I send people.
Awesome. I'm as soon as we're done here, I'm jumping on there and getting that, because I want to see, right. As a podcaster, I love like getting this information and learning how other people do it so that I can upgrade my skills and teach my clients like, hey, I don't know how to pitch, but this dude, he has the power pitch.
So exactly, the power pitch. And
he has the power pitch.
My partner was like, man, these are like some power pitches. And I was like, oh my God. And I looked at the trademark was available. I was like, oh, okay, trademark this thing. Like, let's go get the name. And yeah, man. So.
I love that. Adrian, thank you so much for giving us that amazing tip. Like I'm going to be using this episode, not just for my digital entrepreneur podcast, but definitely for my podcast version, because that just little pitch. Oh my God. My mind is blown. I can't wait to read how you monetize it.
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and being on the podcast. And to my audience, as you know, all the links will be in the show notes down below. So go ahead and grab that powerful pitch so that you can start jumping on those podcasts and getting on at least 50 to 80% of the ones that you send using this method. And always remember to invest in yourself.